Former President Joe Biden has decided to build his presidential library in Delaware, where it will compete with Delaware's other biggest attraction, the border with Maryland.
Yes, you never know where you're going to find a Democrat with a gun, or a knife, for that matter, or a can of gasoline and a Zippo lighter. Those Bic lighters don't work in those circumstances. That's what the Democrats have learned. Always have a good old-fashioned American Zippo lighter when you're going to self-immolate or, set fire to things. A very good Wednesday to you, and welcome back. It is hump day in the Clinton household. That, of course, means that Hillary Clinton wakes up face down in a pool of her own dried vomit on the linoleum floor of one of their many multi-million-dollar mansions. Tisk, 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 the Secret Service traditionally says when they find her passed out, face down, pool of her own dried vomit next to an empty 1-gallon cardboard box formerly containing cheap New Zealand Chardonnay. Oh, the Democrats. What's the matter with these people anyway? Well, there's a lot the matter with these people. Come to think of it, there is, in New York, they're planning on electing a communist mayor, and he's a jihadi, too. The guy couldn't be more anti-American, anti-Semitic, anti-capitalist, anti-police. Wants to empty the jails and defund the police. That ought to go well. His favorite movie, it turns out, was Escape from New York. He loved that movie, Escape from New York. Snake Plissken had to come in and save the day. Aren't they amazing? Our Democrat Party. Wah, wah, wah. And before we get too far, I do want to mention this because yesterday I was talking about the special election taking place in the Commonwealth of Virginia, where a great Republican who was a career U.S. Army officer, Army colonel, decorated combat vet, Stuart Whitson, a man that I met, my best girl, and I spent some time with at a fine Indian restaurant out in Virginia, in Fairfax. And Stuart Whitson was the Republican running for the vacated by way of death Jerry Connolly, Democrat, longtime Democrat House member Jerry Connolly. He should have been a bartender. He could have been somebody. But instead, he became a member of the House of Representatives. And there was a runoff election, and the last day, election day, was plenty of upfront voting, early voting, and all that stuff. But the election day itself for the special election was yesterday. And this Democrat named James Wilkinshaw, he won in a runaway over my friend Stuart Whitson. And it was a blowout, 74.9% for the Democrat, Wilkinshaw, and only 25.1% for Stuart Whitson, the pro-American. Then he became an FBI agent doing FBI counterterrorism after his career as an Army officer, a combat decorated Army officer. And somehow there are so many Democrats in the 11th District in Northern Virginia that today I was texting with a friend that lives and votes in that district. And I said, boy, I got to tell you, you might as well live in D.C. at this point because that's crazy. 74.9% for the Democrat, James Wilkinshaw, and only 25.1% for the great American on our side, Stuart Whitson, Army officer, FBI counterterrorism guy. And I am telling you, the Democrat Party is really doing a job on everything and every place because they're not Democratic at all. They're not Democrats. They're the left. Completely different proposition. And I'm very, very sorry to see that that the race came out that way. And it's tragic news for Virginia, not just for the 11th District, but for the Commonwealth of Virginia. Huge. And for, there's a gubernatorial race coming up in Virginia, and it's terrible. It's a really dastardly situation in Virginia. The Democrats are here to destroy the world, and they're hell-bent, and they're organized, and they got lots of money from billionaires like George Soros, and all that crazy stuff. But that happened in Virginia yesterday, and it's very sad. And honestly, if you're going to live in Fairfax County, you might as well live in D.C. at this point. Where's your crime rate? Oh, speaking of which, we should get to President Trump going out to dinner last night as well. But this just terrible outcome, the Virginia special election 2025, 109,000 votes for the Democrat, Wilkinshaw, and 36,000 votes for the great American Army officer, decorated war hero, FBI counterterrorism man, Stuart Whitson. And he's a nice, mellow guy with a wonderful wife and great kids, and just a wonderful American who should be the next member of the House of Representatives from Virginia. But alas, Democrats, they're here to destroy the world. And they're making a lot of headway, too, a lot of progress. They call it progress. Speaking of Democrats, this is a perfectly crazy one. Eric Swalwell. You know Eric Swalwell. He is the Democrat member of the House of Representatives. He was a city councilman when he was first met by a Chinese intelligence operative by the name of Fang Fang. And what's the thing about that? Well, then Fang Fang took Eric Swalwell from the city council in California to the House of Representatives in Washington and the Intelligence Committee, where he became a close personal friend, apparently, of Fang Fang and Eric Swalwell and the Chinese intelligence operation there. And Eric Swalwell was out there yesterday on his Twitter faking just this insanity on the jobs numbers that came out. The guy's such an idiot. We learned, and I want to explain this a little bit, but the Bureau of Labor Statistics had corrupted the numbers so much on the election year employment and unemployment numbers and job creation numbers to the benefit of the Democrat Party, of course. And Eric Swalwell saw job growth revised down by 911,000 votes through March, signaling economy on shakier footing than realized. That's the CNBC headline. And Eric Swalwell saw that, and he's so dumb and so ignorant and so unwilling to become informed on topics before he goes off, that he retweeted that and said, "These numbers are horrible. When does Trump fire the person in charge of numbers?" And he thinks that's funny and clever. First of all, he did fire the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics when he found out how wrong the numbers had been. But the Bureau of Labor Statistics told us on the lead up to Election Day last year that Joe Biden had created, 1 million jobs. And then it turns out the numbers were completely corrupt, and they overestimated the number of jobs created by 911,000 jobs. But at least it was really good for the Democrats and for Joe Biden, and then, of course, for Kamala Harris while she was running for president. And I've got to say that Kamala Harris has hilariously a new book coming out. She's got a new book coming out. Isn't that remarkable? She didn't write it, of course, but that doesn't matter because the quotes from the book, they even have the people at MSDNC with their panties in a bunch, and they're railing on and on about the things that somebody said in the book that's being attributed to Kamala Harris. But I love this Eric Swalwell thing. These numbers he doesn't know that this was a corruption by the deep state, the permanent bureaucracy, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and that they overestimated the number of jobs created by 911,000 to benefit Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And we only found out that it was a big lie yesterday. Yesterday we found out after a review of the Bureau of Labor Statistic numbers. And then this idiot Democrat congressman from California, who I think still has a sexual affair with a Chinese secret agent named Fang Fang, the honeypot thing there, the honey trap. But never mind that. And he said, these numbers are horrible, thinking they're Trump's numbers. When does Trump fire the person in charge of numbers? And he doesn't, I say this all the time. They don't follow the news. They don't know what's in the news. They don't remember, even if they did read the news last week, They don't remember what was in the news a week later. They're just astonishing, aren't they? Yes, they are. And it's fun because the responses there on Twitter. John Thaler said, "Hey, Eric, that means more than 2 million jobs were overstated during the Biden administration." Yes, Eric, if you had read the story, you would have noticed that this covers the period of time from March 2024 until March 2025. You see? And they said, oh, yeah, Joe Biden is creating all these jobs. And it was a lie because our government lies to us all the time like they're the Soviet Union. Honestly. Reminds me of Elena Gorakova, the Soviet author who wrote her book, A Mountain of Crumbs, about life in the Soviet Union, where she said, they lied to us. We know they're lying to us. They know we know they're lying to us, but they keep lying to us. And that's the Democrat Party today, just as Elena Gorakova wrote about the Soviet communists in the USSR. The Democrat Party has kind of taken up the mantle, haven't they? Yes, they have. So we've got that going for us. And I've got more wonderful audio on the crazy Democrats and how they love crime and criminals, and they're not on our side. But before we get carried away, Michael, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to, calling from the great state of Maryland, let's go to Yuleen. Yuleen, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, yes, Chris. Good morning.
Good morning.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the judges because I'm from another country, and I voted here twice because I'm a citizen. I did everything right, and I got the opportunity to become an American citizen about 9 years ago, and I really, really love living here. But what I want to say, when you go to vote, you vote for these judges because these judges are trying to stop Trump, and I don't understand this. You go to vote, you check who you're voting for, Republican or Democrat. But when it comes to the boxes for the judges, they always say they're not affiliated with a party. But there has to be, and that should be known to voters, what their affiliation is. They always have no affiliation. And you don't know if you're voting for these radical judges or not. So I would like to see something change so that you can identify on your ballot who this judge affiliated with, what party.
Right. Right. I understand completely and entirely what you're saying.
Then people like me who stands on principle and common sense like Trump, I think I'm his sister somehow, but because we have these values that I hold dearly. I don't know who I'm voting for when it comes to the judges. So I think everybody, we know who the Republican person is. We know who the Democratic person is. But when it comes to these other people, some of them, you don't know who you're voting for. And you're trying to guess if this name is going to be a good name or not. And it could be one of these radical people. So I don't know who are listening, but something needs to change because I could be voting for the devil, and I don't know. Yeah, right? You're absolutely right. I hope something is done, because I'm sick and tired of everything he's trying to do to make things better for us as the people who are at the bottom of the wealth in this country that have to get up and go. They're what is known to be hardworking Americans. And we're faced with all this crime and all this crazy stuff, and he's trying to make things better. These judges are jumping in and saying, oh, no, not you, and stopping and putting, and then it has to go through all this red tape in order for the Supreme Court or some other court to come back and say, no, you're wrong. I don't like it. I just don't. It's very frustrating.
I understand that completely, and you're right. And if there's a D after the name, it might as well be for devil.
Okay, but at least I would know because I voted twice. I voted only 2 times in my life since I became a citizen. I voted for Trump twice. And when it comes to those other judges and other people that say no party affiliation, I didn't know who the heck I was voting for.
Right.
I didn't know. Right? So
Wonderful.
Please, I hope somebody can make a change to that because they are affiliated. They're lying. They are affiliated with the party.
Well, thank you for being a wonderful new citizen, a thinking, concerned citizen of the United States. God bless you and welcome. And I know you and your future generations are going to be great Americans, and I appreciate that, Yulene. I'm thankful. And she drop off? Oh, she dropped off? I wanted to ask her where she was from. I had a guess. Look, I wrote it on the page here. See? It said Ghana. I said Ghana. Did she didn't tell you where? No? Okay. All right. Well, that's a very nice call from Yulene. And honestly, the kind of immigrants to America that we all welcome, thoughtful, considerate, serious, knows more about the Constitution than half the Democrats in the House of Representatives. And it's a legitimate concern about the judges, that's for sure. Thank you, Yulene. You know, the big wireless companies are pulling one over on all of us, and it's time to make the switch to consumer cellular. I did. I'm getting the same fast, reliable, nationwide big wireless coverage, same towers, same transmitters, but without the big wireless costs at the end of every month. It's not just about saving money, though that's good. It's also about not being used and abused by the big carriers. Do you have any idea how much data you use every month? I have no idea how much I use. Most people over 50 use less than 8 gigs of data in a month. But the big wireless companies, they shove you into an unlimited data plan because they need you to cover the cost of 19-year-olds that use 10 times as much data as you use. And if you're not using all that data, then you are the one being used. Suckers. Hey, listen, had enough of that? Go with Consumer Cellular. They set me up with a service and a phone. It's really easy to make the switch. You call, you speak to an actual person. You don't punch a bunch of digits on your touchpad and talk to a robot. These persons that you speak to are based right here in the United States, not in some far-off land. And they're actually helpful, these human beings. Only takes about 20 minutes to make the switch. Save a lot of money every month. Same cell service. So give them a call today and make the switch at 1-800-760-0702. That's 1-800-760-0702. Yeah. All right, a lot more madness coming right up. The brainwashed zombies of the Democrat Party at 4 universities in Washington orchestrated a walkout from the parents paying lots of money to send them these very expensive universities. And they're protesting the National Guard. They're protesting law enforcement. And the walkout happened yesterday. How many of them were murdered during the walkout? I'll get to that. And in Chicago, they're chanting for crime there. Also, they've got, what do you hear these chants going on at Georgetown and in Chicago, the Democrats? The Democratic Party making a lot of progress in the United States on behalf of the Communist Party. Quite amazing. And socialism in the United States, much more popular than it used to be. The Democrats love socialism. They're raising generations of socialists. That's what taking over the universities was all about. They've got a long-term plan. Commies always have a long-term plan, you know. What Americans think about socialism and capitalism, according to a new Gallup poll. For years, Republicans have disparaged their political rivals by describing them as socialists. But that may not be the insult it once was for rank-and-file Democrats who have warmed to socialism and increasingly see capitalism as a barb. A new Gallup poll finds that while U.S. adults overall are more likely to have a positive view of capitalism than socialism, Democrats feel differently. According to the survey, only 42% of Democrats view capitalism favorably, while 66% have a positive view of socialism. Now, keep in mind that, as their hero Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov said, Lenin, that's Lenin, you know, they have a big bronze statue to Vladimir Lenin in Seattle, in a downtown area. I think it's 14 feet high, bronze statue of Lenin. And I think it's never been vandalized. And all the riots and looting and burning, never been vandalized because the commies, kill and destroy and slash your throat and all that stuff. But never mind that. So the 66% of Democrats have a positive view of socialism, and a much, much smaller percentage, 42%, have a positive view of capitalism. That's Democrats. So they're anti-capitalists. They're pro-communist. And as Lenin said, the goal of socialism is communism. Communism is slavery. Communism is brutality. Communism is poverty. And that's what the Democrats are fighting for. And the states will tell you what to do and what not to do. That's the Democrat Party today. Now, with that said, the Democrats love communism, which is socialism. The goal of socialism is communism. And the difference between socialism and communism is 5 years. 5 years. You get a totally social. Look at Venezuela, for example, was the most prosperous country in all of Latin America. But never mind that. Now, let me go to Chicago, Illinois, because I was talking to my good friends at WLS this morning on our regular Wednesday morning hit. And while we were talking and having a nice time, they played a great soundbite. And I thought, oh, wow, what is that? What is that soundbite? And it turns out that in Chicago, they're having rallies and training sessions. Communists love training. It's part of the long-term plan. And President Trump is talking about cracking down on crime in Chicago. The Democrats want to crack down on the police because they're the ones committing all the crime. And the problem is not our guns, it's their sons, right? So we got that. Even in Evanston, Illinois, bordering Chicago to the north along Lake Michigan, wonderful, beautiful Evanston, got Northwestern University and so on. Evanston Dems host Know Your Rights workshop after very credible ICE tip. Very credible? You mean the White House announced that they're going to be cracking down on illegal aliens in Chicago because of all the murders and everything, and the gangs and the trafficking of humans and drugs. Amid growing concern about President Donald Trump's threatening to deploy the National Guard to Chicago and U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement's Operation Midway Blitz, arresting illegal aliens in Chicago, the Democrat Party of Evanston on Tuesday hosted a Know Your Rights training workshop on interacting with immigration agents, telling people who are breaking the law how to keep breaking the law. And I want to play this audio for you of the Democrats at their training like the communists that they are. And they're chanting. You may remember they trained all the glassy-eyed zombies at Occupy Wall Street gatherings where they're all sleeping their own feces in the rape tents. Remember the rape tents? Because there are so many sexual assaults at Occupy Wall Street that all the groups had to set up rape tents, big rape tents for all the rape victims because of all the rapists, because they're Democrats, all right? But here is Chicago yesterday, where they were training people to resist enforcing the law and respecting the law.
Say it once, say it twice. Say it once, say it twice. We will not put up with ICE. We will not put up with ICE. Say it once, say it twice. Say it once, say it twice. We will not put up with ICE. We will not put up with ICE.
Now, these are all, of course, slightly overweight, white, wealthy people. And this is what the Democrat Party has done to the United States of America. It's the zombie apocalypse. We've been warned about the zombie apocalypse for years. We didn't realize that the Democrats would, the next generation of American children, the zombie apocalypse, the glassy-eyed, drug-addled, unintelligent, brainwashed zombie apocalypse. And this is, the death of the world may be upon it. The 21st century is not shaping up very well. Let's say it once, say it twice, we will not put up with ICE, right? Man, oh, Manischewitz. Now, in Washington yesterday, they had walkouts because, it's 1968 somewhere, and college students at 4 major D.C. universities are set to walk out, 4 major universities, set to walk out to protest the National Guard. And they walked out, and then illegal aliens raped and killed them. It was, kind of ironic. I think. But, yeah, students at 4 D.C. universities, the Washington Post, very excited to report this. Protest Trump police takeover, his police takeover. The federal government owns the federal district, the District of Columbia. It's right there in the Constitution. But the glassy-eyed loons they had, this was at Georgetown University, which used to be a Catholic university, but they gave up on that because Democrats took over, and they're more kind of the after-school Satan Club people. At Georgetown University in our nation's capital yesterday.
Mayor Bowser, we demand you cease your collaboration with the Trump administration and his military occupation of D.C.
Military
we demand
occupation.
Non-cooperation. What do we demand? Non-cooperation. What do we demand? Non-cooperation. What do we demand? Non-cooperation.
They demand non-cooperation. Woo! Then they say woo and they clap and things, and they're what do we demand? Non-cooperation. It's like there's only the fight. It's Hillary Clinton. Saul Alinsky would be very proud. The communist propagandist who was mentor to Hillary Clinton and hero to Barack Hussein Obama. The communists are here. They're not on the side of civilization. What do we demand? They never request anything. It's always a demand. Non-cooperation. Kind of a big word for people with your IQs. Non-cooperation. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, the students from D.C., from Georgetown University, and from 4 major universities, D.C. college students walking out to protest federal surge, to protest law enforcement. Now, there was over a period where we would normally have, 16 homicides. We had 7 homicides. And the Democrats are like, well, we can do better. We can kill more. Like kill more Abrego Garcia. College students throughout D.C., they're walking out of their classes on Tuesday to protest the federal government takeover of Washington, D.C. that began while they were on break. At least 4 schools planning to participate: Georgetown, George Washington, Howard, and American universities. Sure. One of the organizers, the Sunrise Movement. Yeah, the sunrise will scorch all of your bodies into ashes on the salt that was once a green earth. But never mind that. They put out a statement, and they're in this moment of crisis. There is no moment of crisis. D.C. students are rising together. You should all self-immolate together. We reject fear, which is why you're out. You're motivated by fear. I will walk out of classes on July 9th to demand our university admission fight for its students, you meaning illegal alien gang members, by resisting cooperation with Trump's goons. Trump's good, that's the police. Every step of the way. And Congress reverse the state of exception and refuse to extend Trump's takeover of our city. But it's being extended because, hey, the crime's down and it's real good. The Democrats are fighting for more crime, and they're organizing the Utes for more crime, more likely to become the victims of crime. Now, President Trump decided there was a moment at the White House yesterday where a fake news reporter asked President Trump a useless question. Said, hey, you're not going out to restaurants in Washington, D.C. to enjoy a nice dinner at a white tablecloth restaurant. Why aren't you doing that? He's the president. The president doesn't very often go out to restaurants in D.C. It's very disruptive. Motorcades shutting down streets, security details, disrupting restaurants, all that stuff. So it's polite for the president to really not spend too much time doing that. But here is the moment by the fake reporter. President Donald Trump told a reporter he might go to a restaurant in Washington, D.C., just to prove the reporter wrong. That's not what happened at all. But this is the exchange with the fake reporter.
Will you visit a restaurant in D.C.? You haven't gone to...
I might, sure.
You haven't gone to one in either of your terms that wasn't...
How do you know? How do you know?
Because I and many other...
Do you want me to prove you wrong? Do you want me to prove you wrong?
Yes, please.
But I will, I think it's something we could consider doing. I'd love to do it. I love the White House food, but after a while I can see going to a nice restaurant. It's safe.
Now it's safe. It's safe. And now it's kind of an irrelevant question by this reporter, whoever he is, or she is. I can't say. You can't tell by the voice anymore. Might have had hormone treatments or something. How dare I don't want to dead horse him or something like that. I know that means something different than dead name him, but I like that whole dead name him thing. But there it is. And President Trump then decided, well, you know what? I'll take the Vice President Vance, and I'll take the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, our chief diplomat, and our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and several. He took the White House Chief of Staff and said, let's saddle up. We're going to go to a restaurant. And they went to Joe's Seafood, which also call it Joe's Stone Crab. I usually call it Joe's Stone Crab. But then they went, and President Trump stood outside the restaurant and talked to the press for quite some time out on the street, on the sidewalk, and they had a bunch of back and forth. And then President Trump, with his vice president and several cabinet people and senior White House officials, went into the restaurant it's on 15th Street. It's a couple of blocks from the Newsmax bureau where I go every day. And outside the restaurant, the Democrats started gathering with bullhorns and with mental illnesses, and they were yelling and screaming at President Trump outside of the restaurant, and we had to bleep out the F words that they're screaming and yelling. And again, it's fat white women with tattoos and venereal diseases. Boo, they say boo. Their parents paid for colleges. And this is what happened. Don't send your kids to a Catholic, to a Democrat college. This is how they'll end up. And it's F you. They're screaming and cursing. And then they went to a fancy restaurant. And amazing. So that's outside the restaurant. The president was, again, feeding the press beast, the media beast, and answering all of their questions and standing out entirely on the sidewalk. And the security people looked a little bit nervous surrounding him. But then all these idiots show up. And there just happened to be, this was not an announced event, because this punk reporter at the White House said, well, you're not going to restaurants. So he said, okay, go to a restaurant with the Veep, Sec State, Sec War, White House Chief of Staff. We'll have everybody in there. They're screaming and cursing at him and howling like the morons that they are. And that went on for some time. And the president, when he exhausted the press by answering all of their questions, then the president, vice president, Secretary of State, Secretary of War, Chief of Staff of the White House, and others went into the restaurant and we're sitting down to eat. Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth and J.D. Vance and President Trump for the dinner. And then the Democrats made their way into the restaurant without being gunned down by the Secret Service, and at least should have been tasered and nightsticked and beaten to the ground. And, it doesn't have to be a full-blown Kent state, but it might not be totally bad. And wait till you hear what happened when the president was sitting down trying to enjoy dinner, and the Democrat Party invaded. Now, it reminds me of the Democrats like Maxine Waters saying, when the Republicans are out, don't let them have dinner in peace. And Democrat members of Congress have been advocating this. They're Civil War Democrats. Some of them are old enough to have participated in the Civil War, too. Not literally, but almost. And wait till you hear what happened when they tried to sit down to dinner. Our good friends at GenericCBD.com. You know them. They're great, GenericCBD.com. Well, they've got something for you, as you might expect. It's a free sample of Generic CBD's best-selling CBD muscle and joint cream. If you haven't tried it yet, listen, it's amazing. My best girl loves it. It's powerful as all get out. 2 or 3 drops might be all that you need. It melts right into your stiff, aching hands, your knuckles, your fingers, your knees, your neck, even your back. Goes to work in a matter of seconds, and it feels fantastic. The relief can last for hours. Plus, it contains 0 THC, no THC at all, so you don't need a prescription or anything like that. Try it now. I got to tell you, and they're going to say, give a contact. They're going to send you not 1, but 2 free samples, 2 full treatments. Keep one for yourself. Give one to your best friend or your best girl or mom or whoever you like. All you need to do is pay about $2 to help with the shipping, and that's all. Be the best $2 you spend all year. You're going to get your free samples from generic CBD at yourfreesample.com. That's yourfreesample.com, and you're going to love it. That's yourfreesample.com. These products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any disease or illness. Yeah, so we've got the president last night with the vice president, cabinet secretaries out at dinner, and the Democrats showed up. That is coming up. Hi, President Trump at Joe's Stone Crab in Washington, D.C., with the Vice President, Secretary of State, Secretary of War, and the Democrats entered. Code Pink, they're all transgender. Sounded like this.
Welcome here! Yes, he is!
This is inside.
Free Palestine! Trump is the Hitler of our time! Free DC! Free Palestine! Trump is the Hitler of our time!
And then they were shot and killed by Hamas. They're there supporting Hamas that wants to exterminate the Jews, just like Hitler. And then they called Trump Hitler while they're the ones trying to exterminate the Jews. This is inside the restaurant.
Trump is the Hitler!
Time to go.
And he was welcomed here! He's terrorizing communities in DC!
Go, time to go.
He is not welcome to DC! He's not welcome to Palestine! Palestine is not free DC! Free Palestine! Trump is the Hitler of our time!
He's not welcome in D.C. He's not welcome in Palestine. They're white, suburban, overweight college girls whose parents wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars, worse than wasting hundreds of thousands of dollars. Look what the colleges did to their girls. It's like, Vito Corleone. Look what they've done to my son. It's tragic. And say, free D.C., free Palestine. Trump is the Hitler of our time. That bad rhyming. I gotta say, I think they learned their rhymes from rappers or something. This is not the way rhyming should work. But the Democrat Party is severely mentally ill and gender dysphoric and violent and dangerous. They're the Democrat Party in 2025.